on sustainable projects. Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk Today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome, and thank you very much for joining us. And we'll start out with a good friend from the Youth Services Unit asking you to remind
friends
you.
and get $50 to spend.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
And
I don't mind having $50.
Yeah, and you didn't even know I was a ventriloquist, right?
No, but it sounded good.
And I could change my voice. Listen, that's the beautiful part of life, and we roll with the punches as we make things happen. Well, join us in a second for a conversation about the Proud of Them Youth Awards. Then at 1 o'clock until 2, we had a chance to chat about Recovery Month, the month of September. And 2 p.m., the Commissioner of Police will be our guest to close out the segment. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
And welcome back. Thanks for joining us as we ask you to be, not just attentive and tuned in, but share and contribute.
Yeah.
Jamo, how are you?
I'm doing well. I tell you that in the day above ground is a good day.
Yeah, as my wife used to say, you think today's a bad day, try missing one. Different perspective, but the same implications, right?
Yeah.
And I think many times people see things and don't recognize that for some of us, it's not because we don't have a care or concern. There isn't a challenge, there isn't adversity, there isn't this trial, tribulation. But there's a recognition that that is, and how do we respond to it? Pastor Al, blessed memory, used to say, there are things that you cannot embrace, but know that you have the strength to endure. And so if we remind ourselves that this too shall pass, this thing is not a good thing, it's not happening, and unless, me sharing it with you is going to help me, I'm going to put my burdens on you. And on the greatest respect, 2 minutes ask people, how you doing? And before they could answer, the person asking, 15 steps
down the road. And they don't want to hear it.
Yeah. So if you're not interested in the answer, don't ask the question. If you're not interested in helping, don't offer. I don't need superficial. I need, practical.
Talking about help. I don't know if I need to ask your permission. I'm pretty sure I'll get it. But I would like to whisper a word of prayer for our emergency services. Because I tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
My office is located at 131 McClendon Drive, right next to DHL.
Okay,
right
for those who don't know,
Foster's Airport.
across from the post office almost down there.
Right.
Okay, and the little park is there, we play lunch, post office on the other side. Right.
And between there and Radio Cayman, which isn't far.
Mm.
Most times I would actually walk here. That's how close it is, about a mile.
Mm.
But in that period of time, I heard 2 sirens of emergency vehicles going to respond to emergencies, right? And I remember as a boy growing up, it would be weeks, if not months, before we hear a siren.
Yeah.
Much less see a police car or a fire truck or something. Like during summers, it probably used to have more frequently because you used to have a lot of little bushfires and stuff.
Yeah.
And we would see fire. But can we just pause for a few words of prayer?
Say the prayer and then we come back to it, please.
Yeah. Heavenly Father, we pause to thank you for all that you do for us. And Lord, we put into your hands today the emergency services who are constantly busy responding to the needs of our community. So I pray for them as they do their work, and I pray for those who they are attending to, that your will be done in their lives and our lives today and always. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So let it be, my friend. Thank you for that. And they're hopeful the men who find us. For those who are, less attentive, that's fine. But to your point, we grew up where we were told, listen, you take someone prayer for them.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we still do that, not out of sort of religious obligation, not just out of even this level of tradition, but genuineness. I know he scrubs guys, he said it often, he talks when he called Mr. Loxley Mikes. I said to me, every time we start a show, we should say a prayer. I try to, privately, just within me, as I do with, when I sit to a meal, whether it's with a friend, just a piece of bread and cheese and water, not as good as prison food. But my father says, you say grace for 2 reasons. You're giving thanks that you have food to eat.
Right.
And secondly, you can actually eat the food that you have. Seafarers will tell you water everywhere, but not a drop to drink if they're at sea, right?
That's right.
And so I thank you for offering that prayer publicly. But I also wonder, in the Cayman context, we hear people from neighboring islands, from larger metropolitan areas talk about a siren constant. And I wonder if the Cayman context, the frequency of it, we've become desensitized. We hear it so often. Just like you just did, I'm sure, as you alluded to, that, siren caused you to pray for, those responding, but to those, for also those for whom they respond, right? I wonder if we're doing that, or have we become desensitized? We just, just another siren.
I think it's just the Christian in me, but it was something that we always used to do when we were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, they responding to someone that needs something, and you don't raise a siren unless somebody's in need.
Okay, so can I ask that? And I recognize that the Commissioner of Police is coming in, and I know many times in their public meetings, they over the years, especially, would get complaints from the public about the use of their siren. People will allege, you're just stuck in traffic and you put on your siren. Partly because we're in front of the police car, we're behind the police car. It pulls into traffic, goes ahead, and then up the road, slightly out of distance, the siren goes off. So we assume that's what it did. Their justifiable response is, hey, some other unit was much closer, responded much faster, which is great. I'm not going to say one way or the other is correct. We also hear people saying, well, it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It's, 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning. There's nothing on the road. Why is the police going from, 300 or 400 feet up the road, blaring a siren through this neighborhood, disturbing the peace? Again, we don't know. Why I say that is that, one, are we as people cognizant and respectful, no matter our position, of what we're doing? I look at the ambulance drivers, and I have the greatest sort of admiration in that. I watch them. Sometimes there's no siren. There's, just a slight little flashing light or a little thing, and they're moving along. Then sometimes, in my words, they're screaming along, right? Yeah. And I say, well, this is a life then and there, something, physical person.
Yeah.
And they can do that. Why not the other, say, in the form of the police? And then there's the fire service. When they're coming through, I mean, these guys are coming through their competence, their professionalism, their dedication. You can see it.
Yeah.
So
I think it's probably heightened because I have a stepson that's a fireman now. You know, so every time he would leave home to go to work, there's a prayer that he returns. Because they put their life at risk every time they respond.
Yeah, they're real on the front line. Not the stupidness that we heard come out of the global media about front line. I mean, really?
I mean, I've had first responders around me all my life. My brother Eugene was
an officer.
Officer.
Yes.
My ex-wife is an officer.
Yeah.
So I've lived almost all my life with first responders that at some point in time could have not come home.
I think that we devalue, dismissing somehow, disrespect. Or they're working in the Cayman Islands. Yeah, it's getting a little bit more, but it's not like. Well, it should not be like those other places.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's probably because a lot of people are being more careless. You know what I'm saying? If there's a higher frequency of accidents because of speeding or drunkenness, and then they just stress out the emergency services. I know I'm not here that though.
No, but you mentioned it to me, and I'm going to tie this into the proud of them, because we're proud of them, but also if the youth see the example in city uniform services, right? I'm not talking about the military running around with guns, putting in uniforms and pretending to be in some movie. That nonsense got to stop, right? Yeah. I'd rather see us invest in people than into, and making peace than into wars.
Yeah.
And in this, But having said that, and that's something that I find egregious, right? But if our youth can see through the uniform services, for those of us who have family members who served in the military, who don a uniform and it's their, they dress whites or whatever, not just as a parade, but sometimes at a very somber occasion, you see the pride. You see when they reunite again for some presentation and they can get back in, you see the respect. Our young people, we're proud of them. We want to elevate them. We want to recognize the importance. And as we come back from the break, Jambo, through you, that thing that is happening in our communities, the level of almost anxiety, the level of apprehension, but increasing frustration emanating from encounters with, say, uniformed services, police, and the motoring public. I wonder if something is transpiring. Is it the water? Is it the injection? Is it the pollutants in the air? Is it the frustration of the politics? Is it the lack of opportunity?
I don't know about it.
Right. So
I think sometimes is what people are, what they take in.
Yeah.
You gotta be mindful of what you let through your eye gate and ear gate and nose gate and everything, because once that is in you, you start to create your own lens of which you see the world at, and if you see it in a negative way, which we get a lot of negative stuff bombarding us every day.
Yeah.
Stories that will actually make you depressed if you keep focused on it too much,
And this is why I think what you just shared makes it an opportune time to emphasize the importance of the nominations for our youth. Probably because if you only see negative, what's that song? I'm not going to try to say it for two reasons. I don't think it sounds that great, but two, I don't know it, right? Be careful, little eyes, what you see, little ears, what you hear, and hands, and whatever.
Right.
And many of us constantly watch, listen, subscribe to this stuff, whatever this stuff is. That's very much like being in an echo chamber, right? But if all you're listening to is somebody spouting something, then that becomes perhaps not just, in another word that we like to use, that person's an influencer. Remember when there's a bad word?
Yep.
Oh boy, don't be careful who influence you, right?
Right?
Now it's a good thing. Yeah, I guess we are in the last days. Good shall be bad and bad shall be good. So can we talk about the proud of young?
Sure. Let's talk about good influencers.
Yeah, and let's tie that into the fact that here we have the uniform services. We're proud of them. We understand the work they do. We're glad that we're still in a safe civil society where the political, economic, and social stability is such that our people can go to work and the probability of them returning is really, really high. And we don't want it to be like anywhere else where, every time you don your uniform to go into a classroom or to the fire station or somewhere else, it could be your last time.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of your work, not because of... So let's talk about that.
Okay.
All right. James Jambo Miles from the Youth Services Unit. We get a chance to chat with you and we invite you to be part of our conversation. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Refer a friend and get $50 to spend when your friend or family member opens a personal account with Cayman National. From July 9th to September 30th, 2024, C&B customers can earn $50 for each referral who opens an individual or joint personal account. Earn up to $500 with a maximum of 10 referrals. Visit CaymanNational.com for more details on this promotion and follow us on social media for updates. Terms and conditions apply.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
The end of summer sale is happening now through September 14th at Beacon Furniture, offering discounts on selected furniture, 20% off lamps, and 50% off selected cushions. Refresh your home with gorgeous pieces from Beacon Furniture and save. Visit us at 386 Shamrock Road, opposite the Seafarers Hall. Call us at 943-2500 or check our website at www.beaconfurniture.ky. Beacon Furniture. Buy it today and have it in your home tonight. Creative Fashion School is open and ready for registration. Come and learn a lifetime skill. Sewing classes will start in September. Our after-school sewing program, your choice of 1 day per week, Monday to Friday, Monday or Tuesday. Join us for the advanced and pattern making class. Wednesday or Thursday, you can register for basic sewing, dressmaking, and tailoring classes. Come Saturday, it is time for home decor class. Don't forget to inquire about private classes. Sign up or call 546-6962 or 928-0344. Creative Fashion School is located on David Foster Drive, Bacadere Warehouse, Unit 216, upstairs. Creative Fashion School. Cayman, mark your calendars for Sunday, September 29th, as the Cayman Heart Foundation and Tortuga proudly present the second annual Robert Hamerty 5K Walk Run at Camana Bay. This family-friendly, pet-friendly event kicks off at 6:30 a.m. and is open to all fitness levels, celebrating World Heart and Stroke Day and honoring the memory of the late Mr. Robert Hamerty. Last year, over 200 participants joined the cause. Let's get moving to inspire better health together. All proceeds support the Cayman Heart Foundation's mission to improve cardiovascular health across our community. To register, visit racecaribbean.net. $25 for adults and $10 for children. Make a difference, one step at a time. The Robert Hamerty 5K Walk Run at Camana Bay, Sunday, September 29th, starting at 6:30 a.m. Proudly sponsored by Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And to Jamo and your team over at the Youth Services Unit, they're proud of them Youth Awards for many who may be somewhat familiar, for some who are not at all. What is it? But tell us about it, please.
Well, every year we promote the positive contributions young people make to our society. Now we can honor up to 15 young people between the ages of 10 and 25. In 6 categories: academics, culture, community service, business, career, and sports. And if you know any young person between the age of 10 and 25, any young Caymanian who has been outstanding achievements in any of those 6 fields, you can nominate them. They tend to nominate at 11:59 on Friday night, which is this Friday night, the 6th of September. We don't have a lot of nominations. I should put it out there. I expected a whole lot more. I went on vacation. Just letting you all know. I went on vacation. And they opened the nominations And I say, okay, I at least can see when the nominations start running. And they start trickling in. I mean, it's a trickle. Come on, man. I know outstanding young people that make some outstanding achievements in our society, and you need to nominate them. You can't wait for your neighbor to try to nominate them, or their mama can nominate them. You it. If the mama do it, fine. We can take 2 nominations. We can try to put them all together and make the best nomination for that person. But don't come about, I know somebody can nominate them, so I'm not about to do it. We only got 36 nominations so far, and the deadline is on Friday. That is unacceptable in my books. Trust me. Online and stuff, email info@ysu.gov.ky, and we can send you the link so you don't have to navigate the website. Even we can just click on it and go straight and start nominating.
info@ysu.gov.ky.
info.ysu.gov.ky.
Okay. For the email, for you to receive the link. If not, then if you just click on the website, would be straight then.
Well, you can look for Proud of Them on the website and then the nomination area.
And the website is what?
youthservices.ky.
Okay. And as you shared, if you used to have in excess of 100 plus, now, as I listen to you share, I'm cognizant that today we have a lot going on, even when we don't realize it.
Right.
And for some of us, the notion that, tomorrow we got to catch up, right? For us, we know it's literally Wednesday, Thursday. But for some reason, it seems like, we got a lot of time. 18 hours from now? Yeah, it seems like a lot. And I think that's a dynamic that is unfolding that we'll get to grips to down the road. So maybe that's what it is. But if today's Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, 11:59 p.m., it's electronic. It closes off. Kind of like the government's application for scholarships.
Yep.
The portal is there. The clock stops. That's it. All right. Well, I'm not into science fiction, but there's a portal. So.
Well, and I'm hoping that we don't have to extend it. I think 4 weeks is quite a long time for you to get your nomination in. We kind of talked about this even before the nomination period, because I remember talking about it before I went on vacation.
So it's ages 10 to 25?
Yes.
Okay.
And any of those areas, academics, business, culture, community service, career, or sports. We had some outstanding sports, even in the Olympics. They need to be nominated.
Now, with that in mind, it's something that I see within us. And the more that we look, we recognize it's very similar in other places, but it's magnified here, maybe because we live, maybe because it's smaller. We don't immediately celebrate our own. When we do, people seem to say, look at that, and they make less than positive comments, right? If I'm being somewhat diplomatic. And maybe that's part of the issue, but we want to recognize and celebrate our youth. In a world where increasingly there's negativity, there is this growing discord and disharmony. Instead of having that get worse and lead to a divided society, let's come together so that this young person is celebrated and the wider community across all 3 islands can see and become familiar. And today, perhaps in 10 years, we'll see that young person continue to excel because of the nomination today, the acknowledgement today, the support.
Yeah, you'd be surprised the impact it has made on those past honorees. And I'm mindful that I don't have anyone with me today.
Yeah.
But it's usual that anytime I come to talk about Proud of Them, I would bring at least an honoree with me.
Yeah.
That they can share a little bit about the impact the recognition award had on their life. And this started, our first rollout of the billboards was like in 2013. You know what I'm saying? So like it goes a ways back, and the impact, they're still making positive contributions because of it.
I certainly want to encourage others, right?
Yes.
And I'll share this with you publicly because I know your response is going to be instructive. So there were a couple of people that I wanted to nominate.
Right.
From interaction and observation, I thought, they would be deserving. Me having the approach, as you've seen publicly, if I have young people here, I speak with them, but I speak with them through the accompanying adult. It's not that I don't value them. I just think that that's respectful as an adult. A police officer or anyone that should interview a young person without another adult who is that young person's advocate being present.
Right.
That's just my personal view. Having said that,
it's a great child protection measure.
Well, that's from some training we had way back when, but I think it's just sensible.
Yes.
Because you may be trying to help the young person, but as an authoritative figure, you don't need to be wearing a uniform. You just need to be bigger. You just need to be an adult. No matter how independent-minded that young person is, no matter how upstart you may think they are, they're younger.
And it's in their best interest.
It's in their best interest, and they can feel a sense of intimidation, right? Having that other person there who's, their protector, their advocate, helps this thing to get better. So having said that, and working on that premise, we said to two of these young individuals, and I said, I would like to nominate you and for this, because I think it's so on. One said, no, I don't want a recognition. Just flat out, please don't do that. I'm like, why? And I said, well, this is a good thing. No. The second one was not so unwilling, but had a greater sense of reservation. And it wasn't false humility. It wasn't a lack of, confidence or whatever. It was something else. And I know these two individuals. Now, I reached out to one of the individuals, sort of adult, and to try to get an understanding. So I know we're going to take the break. If that's something that you can help us to clarify, because this young person in this instance just did not want that. And there's no known reason. I've seen the person make public presentations without being asked, sort of take up leadership. There is a fantastic family and community and extended family support, but just does not want that public acknowledgement.
Okay.
Anyway, let's break, and then you can tell us more, and then we can figure out how we can navigate. All right, the Proud of the Youth Awards is our discussion. Join us right after the break.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Prescription refills made easy at Savannah Pharmacy. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Jamo. I said one day to someone, I got to catch up with James Miles. They go, who? James Miles, the famously termed Jamo.
Yeah.
But thank you, and to the team at Youth Services Unit, and hopefully with this discussion, as we go to the news break and come back, and as part of Recover Month, get to appreciate the impact our community has, but it's also what is affecting our community. So just proud of them. You reminded us Friday is midnight is the deadline, 11:59 p.m.
Yeah, and I want to let nominators know that make sure to select the category for that you're nominating the young person for. Make sure that is selected, because we can't normally just pick up what they're nominated for from the narrative that you're given if you don't select the category. And if you're selecting, you're nominating them for two categories, do two separate nominations so you don't get the English mixed up as well. If you're trying to do academics and sports and you're trying to make it all fit in 500 words, just don't do yourself a disservice.
But 500 words is the maximum. You can do it less.
Electronically, it doesn't expand much more than that. So you might get 525 words. That's about it.
Yeah.
So to do yourself and your nominee a favor, do two separate nominations. That way you can put in all the information that he or she has done. And then the nominees, you'll get an email saying that you've been nominated for sports or for... So if that isn't ticked, they don't know which one they're responding to. So do them a favor by making sure you select the right category. And so the nominee can finish the loop of the nomination by supplying all the evidence that we need.
You can nominate one person for one category, but no more than two.
Right.
And then you as the nominator, you can nominate as many as you want, irrespective. So if you're a teacher, or coach, or just neighbor, co-worker, family member,
and
go right ahead.
You know 10 children that you want to nominate, you can nominate 10 of them.
Yeah, and it's, I think, just the process of being recognized, being acknowledged, could be encouraging. And what you share, don't wait on somebody else to do it. If they only get one nomination, well, great. If they get 1,000, hey, that's fine.
What the selection committee normally do is look on each nomination to see if there's anything that wasn't in one that could be added to it. Because sometimes what I know about Sterling is limited compared to what Susan knows about Sterling.
Yeah.
So
don't ask her anything, boy. She might tell. I just kidding.
She'll write a poem for you.
No, don't do that.
No, but
you're right. Compliments.
So you'd be surprised what you learn from the various nominations.
So just so the people don't misunderstand the nominations that come in about this one individual, I guess I'm picturing it categorized. So John has now been nominated 10 times for sports by 10 different people.
Right.
All of John's nominations go in this pile. So, I call it a pile, but
a file.
Electronic file.
We have an electronic file for every nominee.
I have a paper file. A paper pile.
Yeah, we're trying to go paperless. That's why we're using the portal. We're using the website.
Right.
We're trying to make this thing as environmental friendly as possible.
All right, well, maybe that's good. I was going to say we should.
You had mentioned something before the break.
Yes.
And about the young person that really didn't care about recognition.
Yeah.
It is because that person, I can probably say it without a shadow of a doubt, is a born-again Christian. And he or she is doing Christ's work and nothing else. So they're working for their recognition at a whole different level than proud of them can ever think of offering. And so that's probably why they're saying, my right hand don't need to know what my left hand doing.
Okay. See, that's why you give good insight, because for me, I don't know that I any particular day would be assured of my eternity. Some days I'm pretty sure.
I think a lot of young people are now seeing the importance of doing what they can when they can, because life is not guaranteed to them either. They've
Yeah.
seen classmates.
Yeah.
They've attended funerals, you understand, of classmates.
Yeah.
So that comes to young and old frequently in Cayman now. So I think those who are spiritually minded is working for the kingdom.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, because I think sometimes I look back, even the two of us, there's much that we've done that we don't wish to be public. It's not because it's
Right.
not great things.
Plus,
or
we don't
helpful,
do it for that.
But that's not a
Yeah.
thing, right? But
Yeah.
to see our young people it's kind of like, I liken it to a family, just as an aside, where we as a community now need to take a more active role in ensuring that the ethos is one that we are managing, directing, and ensuring is inculcated, as opposed to this other thing that we're saying, oh, it's being superimposed, it's being influenced by. Well, if we're not standing in the gap, you take a household where the family is loving and kind, and as much as there might be a lot of activity, there's a genuineness of love, and the love is not only verbalized; it's more importantly, it's demonstrated in action, as opposed to a household where that is not the norm.
Yeah.
The former household, you can see this evident, and then until we make that conscious effort to show, to demonstrate, to say, and to act, it won't be, the practice, the norm, the custom within that family.
Right.
So in our communities, we need to say to our young people, hey, we're not, as Mama says, we're not giving you right for wrong. We're not going to allow you do this bad thing and tell you it's okay. But hey, we want you to know that we love you. We're proud of you. We got your back.
Yeah.
And we got to do that for our own people.
And some of the stories need to be told.
Yeah.
The inspiration behind what they do, and even the young Christian who don't really do what they do for the recognition. I think the good Lord would like the promotion. I was saying, I do this because I'm driven by the Lord to do this. And I think that story should be told too. That I what I do, I don't do for proud of them. I do it because it's what I do for the Lord. And I think that's a great story that needs to be told. And I would encourage the young Christian, if persons like Mr. Sterling and others would wish to nominate you for what you do, your contributions to our community, to tell your story. It is a testimony worth sharing, and you'll be surprised the souls you reach. Because the Bible does say that he that winneth souls is wise, so just be wise about it.
Yeah. Well, John, this is where I think increasingly we all have our own battles.
Yes.
We're reminded that you don't value, the bucket of water until you have to carry it yourself,
Yeah.
Each drop then becomes precious. So, in understanding the time now, and not just for this segment, but the fact that it's closing shortly, give us your thoughts for today as we close out.
I want to encourage everyone in the community, because young people can nominate themselves too. You can nominate your friend. You don't have to be over the age of 18 to nominate anyone. So, go on our website, youthservices.ky. Scroll down to where the Proud of Them button is. Click on it and nominate. Nominate any young person, young Caymanian between the age of 10 and 25 for any of those, any outstanding achievement for any of those 6 categories, which is from academics to sports. Is community service in there. Anyone that's doing great stuff in the community. Anyone that has a good career so far. Anyone that's successful in business so far. Nominate them. Anyone that engage in a lot of cultural activity and promoting our culture, nominate them.
I'm hoping that we look at it from the parent to the teacher, but also the wider, community.
Yeah, I know a lot of people see young people doing great things. This is a time for you to let them know that you're watching them and that you appreciate what they do, and that the wider community can hear their story and be inspired by what they do. It's inspiration in action.
Yeah, that's it. John, well, thank you very much. If we can help between now and Friday, but certainly thereafter, at any point, let us know.
Cool, man.
All right, well, to our listeners, please listen to the fantastic, hard-working news team that we have as they give you an update. And then join us, Ms. Kimberly Fabrice from the The clinical supervisor over at Caribbean Haven Residential Care Centre will be our guests as part of Recovery Month. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
We are Radio Cayman,
covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. The East End Public Library seeks passionate and committed volunteers to assist with its long-standing one-to-one reading and tutoring program, which begins on Monday, September 16th. For more information on how to volunteer or register a child for one-to-one reading and tutoring, call the East End Library at 947-7729 or email sandra.ebanks@gov.ky. In international news, the United States is to accuse Russia of a sustained campaign to interfere in the November presidential election, U.S. media has reported. The Biden administration is expected to address the Kremlin's efforts to influence public opinion with a series of actions, including criminal charges, according to CBS, the BBC's partner in the U.S. The Russian state media network RT, formerly Russia Today, would be a major focus, according to CNN. Attorney General Merrick Garland is expected to announce sanctions and charges on Wednesday, CBS said. Australian Olympian Rachel Gunn has apologized to the nation's breakdancing community for the backlash they have experienced following her controversial routine in Paris, which made headlines globally. Gunn, who competes as Ray Gunn, was eliminated from the B-Girls competition with a score of 0, prompting ridicule and praise for her unorthodox style by users across social media. In her first sit-down interview since taking part in the Games and amid questions over her qualifications and performance, Gunn was asked if she genuinely thought she was Australia's best female breakdancer, to which she replied, "I think my record speaks to that." These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
The Health Services Authority would like to thank you, the Cayman community, for voting us the Best of Cayman Islands 2024 in 13 medical categories. As the largest and longest healthcare provider in the Cayman Islands, we have been caring for you for many generations, helping the people of our islands live longer, healthier, and happier lives. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky or call 949-8600.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the 5th child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott enjoyed a fulfilling career at sea spanning more than 50 years. He was ahead of his time, employing his mathematical and computer skills to create payroll software, depth charts of Georgetown Harbor, and his pride and joy was his weather program that could detect when a storm formed anywhere in the world and was able to track and forecast its path. He had 6 children and was married for 52 years to Bernadette Silva, whom he met during his tenure in Brazil. In 1954, when Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II visited, Captain Scott had the distinct honour shaking the Queen's hand and piloting the Royal Yacht Britannia and anchored it in the Georgetown Harbour. Captain Scott was a humble man who liked his khaki suit and cap and loved to share his knowledge with those who crossed his path. He was honoured at the National Heroes Day, acknowledging the seafaring heritage of these islands.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Radio Cayman News. 2 people charged with human smuggling appear for trial.
Forced the Ethiopians to work on the boat and were kept in an area that was padlocked.
The Joy Marie Tippett Adult Training Center is a place of hope.
Very active tropical wave that just crossed the Lesser Antilles.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you so much. And it's amazing. It's September already. And September means a lot of things, and it's Recovery Month, and I guess most importantly, right? So the clinical supervisor of the Caribbean Haven Residential Center, right? As part of the Department of Council and Services, I got to be reminded, Ms. Kimberly Ferris, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. I wanted to maybe help us to appreciate that sometimes we don't always understand the programming, the policies, the way the people in there, whatever it's sports, whether it's an academic, it doesn't matter. The people drive the system, and the system impacts the people and the like. And there's a way things are done. So as clinical supervisor, for those of us who don't know, what does that entail? What does that mean? I mean, if I'm the captain of the football team, good choice, by the way, but I say, there's a sense of responsibility in many ways, but it's no more or less than the goalkeeper, the guy who makes sure that, we got our cleats to hit the pitch. So your role, what does that entail?
So my role at Caribbean Haven basically entails overseeing the clinical program that we have.
Right.
So we have a clinical team that's made up of therapists, counselors, and counselor twos, which do case management. And we also have an auxiliary team that helps keep the facility going 24/7.
Okay. And then for those who may be somewhat, you can share the location. That's not the key, but what is Caribbean Haven?
So Caribbean Haven is the only residential treatment center in the Cayman Islands for adults who struggle with substance use disorders.
Okay.
It's fully funded by the government. We're part of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and anyone who would like treatment there, as long as you're legally resident in the Cayman Islands, you can receive treatment at no cost.
So once you're legally resident, doesn't matter who you are.
Exactly.
And to get there, we know some programs. I think of the person who's the court said, hey, you need to go back to driver's school, and they forced you or something. So in this instance, to get into Caribbean Haven, what's the process?
So if anyone's interested in coming, it would start with a pre-screening. So we do a phone screening with anyone who would like to come, and we just get a little bit of information about you, sort of what substances you've been using in the last week to 14 days, why you want to come in for help, what kind of help are you looking for, just so we can make sure you have a good treatment experience and a safe detox. Because that's usually the first step into any kind of treatment for substance use, is to detox. So that's sort of the step in the door. And then from there, we can do assessments and speak with you and see what more we can offer. If it's a long-term residential program like what we offer at Caribbean Haven, or maybe it might just be community-based care, which you can get at the counseling center, or parent services, which we offer at the Family Resource Center.
Okay.
But to make sure you have a safe detox, the first step is to call us and do that screening, just so we can talk about what's been going on.
All right. And I want you to guide me so that in asking and understanding, hopefully it helps to edify others as well. I use the word, so this is like a self-check-in, or do you need to be referred or mandated?
Either way. So you can, anyone can self-refer.
Okay.
A loved one can refer, a physician or another healthcare professional, or the court system or the prison. But no matter what the referral source, it needs to be voluntary. So the person coming has to agree to come.
Even if it's court?
Even if it's court mandated. So, I mean, the choice might be Caribbean Haven or prison, which, may not seem like a choice for many people, but it is voluntary because, one of the things that I would love for people to understand is that treatment and recovery is not easy. It requires a lot of time investment. It requires a lot of personal investment in wanting to grow and change and heal. And not everyone is ready for that.
Yeah, as a listener, it would seem that, like with anything, you got to want it. It's there. And if you can be, what's the saying? You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Right.
So if, not to belabor it, but in the instance of the court or some other entity saying to the person, listen, you got choices. Here's Caribbean Haven to help you with this. Maybe it's the family member who's saying, either you go there and we support you, or, we don't know what you could do, but you're not going to do it here. You got a choice. So it's voluntary in that instance.
There's always a choice. And you're right. I mean, the motivation, if somebody wants help, that's going to make their treatment experience, probably get off to a better start. But you can be motivated in other ways.
Okay.
So if the court is saying it's Caribbean Haven or prison, or if, the wife is if someone's saying my wife won't get off my back, that's the only reason why I'm here. That's okay. That's a first step.
Yeah.
That means you're still choosing to come, even if it's not an internal motivation, but you're still interested in getting the help.
You're making that first step.
We can start there.
Okay.
Yeah, we can work with that.
And you shared long term. And I'm going to ask, and you're going to say, no, we can't answer that, or you should ask it this way. Guide me.
Sure.
Because don't know how we learn, and don't know how we can have a buy-in and perhaps offer up meaningful help. A lot of us like to be helpful, but your help is, stay there, be quiet. Sometimes your help is, come on, man, put your shoulder to this thing, help us to push this. But we need to know what we're doing, right? So long term, what does that mean?
Long term, the average length of stay for the full residential program is 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
But we've had individuals stay for a year or more, even up to a year and a half, 2 years, if that's what they need. But we recommend a minimum of 3 months, especially if you've gotten to the point where you need residential treatment. Then likely addiction, substance use has caused a lot of problems in your life.
Okay.
So you're going to need some time to kind of help heal from that and rebuild, right? Rebuild a life that you can see as worth living.
Yeah. And the thing is that I've had, in preparation for this, very involved conversations with a number of individuals. With their consent and almost their sort of insistence, people need to understand this, see if you can help having this conversation. So I'm calling, some of that stuff up in order to speak to you so that we, listening, get a better perspective of what transpires. So at Caribbean Haven, it's voluntary, you got to want it. And when you're there, is it, you can leave and come back later? Tell us as much as you can so that we understand as best as we can what is like being there.
Once you come, we expect for you to stay on site. So the first step in the program that we talked about, that detox piece, usually lasts about a week. And then you would go into the long-term program if that's what you needed. So once you're there, you're there. You can't leave, or else you're considered to have self-discharge. If you have appointments or court appearances or things in the community, we'll bring you to that. We'll help facilitate that. We help provide that wraparound care. But residential treatment is very sort of intensive, and we try to shelter the clients a little bit in the early stages so that they can focus on themselves and on their recovery without a lot of external distractions and things like that. And we want to make sure they're abstinent too, that they're actually building up some clean time. And that's another reason why we don't let people leave and come back.
Okay. So they're there. They're not going to run out for a minute to see a friend or pick up the mail or whatever. But in a sort of appointments, whether it's court, hospital, or otherwise, they can go, you guys will take them and bring them back.
Exactly.
But you're there, on a retreat.
Yes. I mean, it's actually, I mean, I will toot our own horn a little bit. We have a really fantastic program there. And I know I'm a little biased because I work for them, but it really is. We've worked hard on it over the years. We've gotten feedback from past clients and staff, and we've really tried to develop a comprehensive program that's going to meet the needs of the population, provide them with the support they need. We have an amazing, talented staff of clinicians who are passionate about helping them. So all we're saying is come, and we will be around you. We will be with you and there for you on that really difficult step that you're taking.
Right. And then with that, is it, again, you share what you can, male and female?
We have facilities for males and females, but they're not together. Okay. So they're two separate buildings, two separate programs, so that they can work on the issues that are maybe gender specific in some cases.
Right. And then age is, you have to be above
at
a certain
least 18.
Yeah, so age of majority. And capacity, I mean, it's up to you if you want to share your maximum capacity, not asking you to, anything else.
For WMU beds, we have 3, that's our withdrawal management unit where you come for detox. So we've got 3 beds for men and 3 beds for women. And then in the long-term residential program, we have 16 beds for men and 6 beds for women.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm asking, because one of the individuals I spoke with shared that it took a number of attempts before finally making that commitment. Mm-hmm. And when it sort of materialized, that first going was a bit challenging because you felt like you did something wrong. You felt isolated. You were blaming yourself. And then as you got to a space, you go, well, why didn't I do this sooner? And there were these things that transpired. And what was asked and conveyed through you to the public is that there's a lot that happens that we don't know. Mm-hmm. And when the person comes back out sort of into society, people miss them. They thought, oh, you were in prison, you were away. And then there's a lot of judgment and condemnation. That's what was told to me. Did I get it kind of right, you think?
Yes. I think that's something that I speak about it every time I get the microphone. So
well, you have the microphone, Miss Kim.
Thank you for putting me on the mic. But there is a misconception, I think, about substance use disorder where people do tend to see it as a moral failure or, if you have the willpower, you can just stop. It's not that easy. Addiction is such a complex disease. It involves your brain circuits. It involves your biology, your environment, just so many different things. So it's not as easy as just wanting to stop and being able to stop. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more healing that has to happen. So I think the more we can understand the nature of the disease and the fact that it's chronic, so it makes sense that people would have to have multiple attempts, right? Just like any chronic disease, it has to be managed over time.
And I think this is where, when we look at the things that happen, let's say, he who, feels it knows it. Sometimes we don't understand as much as we're trying to be accommodating. Maybe we're the employer, maybe we're the partner, maybe we're the parent, the sibling, that long, time childhood friend, and we just can't get it to see what, that person has and is going through. Mm-hmm. So this is why I'm really grateful to you to share with us so that we are in trying to help, actually not hindering. But a couple of questions we wanted to ask, but anything else you want to share with us in that perspective?
Well, just in that vein, I think that's where these discussions are really important because in order for someone to have a long-term recovery, to maintain their sobriety for a long period after they leave our program, having a community around them, family, loved ones, peers, and even the broader community that actually understand will give them a better chance because they're not having to deal with the judgment and the, sort of non-compassion while they're also navigating these things.
Right. Well, as we speak to the clinical supervisor at the Caribbean Haven, Ms. Kimberly Febres, we do have a caller.
Oh, great.
That headset might look... Okay. Let's see. I put up... my money's going to look good on you. 949-8037, 949-6990. Of course, you can WhatsApp call at 925-32621. And then you can use the Flow toll-free line at 1-800-534-8255. Recovery Month is our discussion as we go to our phones. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling.
And to you, how are you today?
Pretty good, thank you, man. How you doing?
Hey, listen, man, I'm doing well. I tell you, man, you looking at me now, you seeing not just, handsome and muscular, but fit and healthy, spiritually grounded, financially secure, loved and loving. I mean, life is good, bro.
My goodness, my bro.
And I got chocolate.
When he clone you.
No, man. What we gotta do is just replicate it. But, true love, man. Just draw alongside. Iron sharpens iron.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, man. Thank you for taking a minute to share with us, all right?
Thank you, too, man. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not sure who's in with you, but I know it's someone from...
Okay, well, that's on me. Let me just say it and make sure I say her name correctly. Because every time it's Kimberly Febris.
Yes.
She's a clinical supervisor at Caribbean Haven Residential Center.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Miss Kimberly.
Hi.
Hello, good afternoon. I've been listening to you off and on. I've been trying to get some lunch, so I didn't hear all of it. But I just have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
I've known a few people who've gone through the program, and very close to a good friend of mine. And so I know some of the things based on, obviously, hearsay and in conversations with them. That last point that you made, though, was something that you triggered in my mind. That is that support system that is beyond the treatment program. And I'm wondering if you can speak, if you can, or share a bit to the public about how very important that is. I know you touched on some things in terms of the family or otherwise, but what about things like jobs? How much, these people being employed and being able to get jobs far beyond their treatment, but certainly their treatment included, and being safe and feeling secure and being able to care for themselves. How much would you say that's weighted in them being able to remain sober?
So important. Thank you for bringing that up and opening the conversation on that. So there are actually 4 domains of recovery that I had hoped to talk about today, and those are health, home, purpose, and community. So when you talk about stability, having that stable living environment, having a purpose, whether it's a job or volunteering or just some way to give back, and contribute to your community, and then having a community where you feel a sense of belonging and where you have social supports. The treatment program that we have is evidence-based. It's extremely effective, but it has to then come with these other things in addition in order for it to have that long-term success. So the last stage of our program is called reentry. And in that stage, once clients have finished sort of the initial kind of goals that they have for their treatment and their wellness, they start slowly reintegrating back into the community. So we help them apply to WORC to work, to NAU if they need housing assistance. We help them sort of put those things around them, as much support and as many protective factors as they can put around themselves. Yeah. And we have a transitional house called Serenity House, where once they have a job, they can live there and have some independence, but still have the safety net of being on our property and meeting with us, checking in once a day and having some structure in place. So we try to help people get back into their communities sort of slowly and in a very graduated way so that it will increase their chances of success. Not everyone takes advantage of that part of the program, but whenever someone comes in, and again, it's voluntary, so we can't force anyone, but we do try to make sure that they're aware of the benefits of that and encourage them to take advantage of that reentry portion of the program.
Yes, that's awesome to hear. Would you without, if you're able to certainly speak with it, do you find that there's a great deal of difficulty in terms of receiving those who have found themselves, with a substance abuse problem? Do you find that our community is very judgmental and a lot of employers are not taking on? If you're able to speak with that, because that relationship with the community and helping them to understand that they're not just doing them a favor, they're doing the broader selves a favor, because if persons are interested in re-entering and being able to be, remain sober, they have to be able to support themselves unless they're coming from an Oprah family or otherwise, And so that is a critical component that sometimes our community in the judgment stones that we fire, and we're very judgmental, our community, and I'm from here, so I know we pay a lot of lip service, but then when the rubber comes down, and I know it's a difficult one when you're a business owner also, in terms of if you're dealing with someone, for example, who may have a conviction of stealing, for example, and drugs is around it. Okay, you've gotten over the drugs, but it doesn't mean, how have you addressed the whole notion of, and some of it is obviously linked to the drugs, it's almost a chicken before the egg thing, and I understand those things, but in a broader context, even people who are not hooked on drugs are finding problems finding a job, so I can just only imagine the difficulty from that standpoint. There was one other thing I want to quickly add. So if you can add any more details to maybe if you're finding a real challenge with that, that would be useful. The other thing I wanted to ask about, and again, it was from my knowledge of having an interaction with a good friend of mine. Once they had a problem, and I think they were removed from your program, and they really wanted to get back in sometime after that. And I think part of your rules of some sort, and there was not a whole lot of clarity that I understood because I was really trying to facilitate and help them. But they said that the rules were that you guys said that they must be out of the program for, if they have an incident, for, I don't know, I don't remember if it was weeks or whether it was 3 months or something, but there was no clarity surrounding that. Like, I found it difficult to understand why you would have something like that in place, and maybe you can share a little bit if, why you may have some of those restrictions surrounding someone really truly trying to get back in, even if they've made a mistake. Just if you could speak to that. Thank you for your time, and thanks for the work you do with our locals that are trying to get their lives back.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thanks.
Two wonderful points. So as far as the employment piece, there have been some employers who are very willing to work with our clients, but it sort of, for me, raises a wider issue of, should it even be a consideration, when applying for a job? I know criminal records, yes, I understand that most employers want to know that, and they ask for police clearances and everything, but diseases, medical issues, mental health issues, I'm probably opening a huge Pandora's box here. Like, we could probably have a whole show over it, but we teetering on the edge of discrimination? Like, dare I use that word? So, like, if someone else had a chronic medical condition like diabetes or something like that, would that be a reason not to hire them? And if it was, would that be considered discrimination? And why isn't addiction looked at in the same way? That's sort of a question I have about that. And the policy about clients, having sort of a cooling off period if they self-discharge or we administratively discharge them, we do try to look at it on a case-by-case basis. But sometimes if we give them a sort of cooling off period, it might be because we want to make sure that when they come into treatment, they are really committed to treatment, that they're not just using it as a respite from using, basically, because that can happen. Like, well, I'm going to come in for a few weeks just to kind of get a break from using, and I don't have anywhere else to go, and then I leave again. So we're trying to avoid that, because that's not what our program is. It's not a homeless shelter, though that's another issue we have, is the lack of kind of stable housing for people who need it. But we're trying to keep our program to, keep the fidelity of what it is as a treatment program, and that people who come in are committed to treatment. Yeah. We have recently looked at our policy of, it used to be where you had to wait 90 days before reapplying to come in. We've actually looked at that recently because we want to treat people more on an individual basis. So if you have an incident and you decide to leave, and then, a week later you say, oh, I made a huge mistake, I want to come back. Call us and come back, and we will work with you and talk to you about kind of what your needs are and how we can help, and maybe not have to wait that 90-day period. So if that pertains to anyone who's listening, or anyone who's listening, tell them to call us, because we have taken a look at that recently to make sure we're not making the service, too hard to access, or we're not putting barriers in place that maybe don't need to be there.
All right. Well, after the break, the caller set it up nicely, talking about those four, major sort of, aspects of the recovery. If you talk about that, the more we know, the more we understand, and this is a free service in terms of us paying for it directly. It's funded through, well, may I dare use that bad T, letter word begin with T, taxes. It's paid through our taxes. What do we call it? Fees, service charge, duties. This is government's funding allocated, and the people's lives that have been impacted. Let's talk about those 4 aspects and anything else that you want to share.
Okay.
All right, to our listeners, we invite you to stay tuned and join us after the break.
The rich flavors of Italy just arrived at Subway. Say ciao to the Italianos. Our 3 new Subway series recipes, carefully crafted with an Italian flair. Try the Hot Shot Italiano for an enticing and zesty touch. The tastier than ever Ultimate BMT, generously stuffed with a mix of ham, pepperoni, and salami. Or go all in with the creamy chicken bacon Alfredo. New Subway series Italianos. Chef-crafted greatness in every bite. Elevate your game only at Subway. Delizioso.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
The DVDL Customer Support Unit is now open. Customers can book appointments for written and driving tests through DVDL's hotline at 945-8344. That's 945-8344.
20 years ago, our nation faced one of its most devastating challenges, Hurricane Ivan. Many of us remember the fear, the loss, and the daunting recovery. But we also remember the unity, lessons learned, and the unwavering spirit that carried us through those dark days.
This month, we reflect on the storm that was and celebrate how far we've come. Our homes, schools, and communities have emerged stronger, more prepared, and united. We're grateful for the kindness and support of our neighbors, and we pay it forward.
As we look to the future, let us commit to a vision of resiliency. Together we will build a community that is prepared to face future storms and thrives in the face of adversity.
For more information on hurricane preparedness and community resilience, visit caymanprepared.ky.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you for joining us. And in the studio, Miss Kimberly Febres.
Yes.
Did I get it?
Yes,
yes. The clinical supervisor at Caribbean Haven Recovery Month. And we want you to talk about a lot of it. I'm hoping as people listen that there's not just a sense of compassion and empathy and respect, but a sense of sensitivity and an appreciation. The caller raised a lot of questions and from the employment prospects, but just us as the family who probably justifiably and understandably frustrated. Little Johnny, why don't you get your life in order? We want the best, we love, but are we helping? So as we go through those other areas, can we take this next caller?
Sure.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Sterling, it's me again, man.
Listen, I'm going to take this as a compliment. I have a good guest, and you like making time to call twice, man. Thank you.
Well, her response triggered something that I remembered, actually, in the whole notion of community care, and particularly to do with employment, I recall. And it was most recently, too. I don't want to get it all wrong, and obviously I would have to search for it if I was put on the spot, but I want to say that it was a government entity. It was in the UK. Some time ago, I'd shared with you in regards to how I believe our public service, for example, could do a better job with some of the small details surrounding how people apply for jobs, but also how they list, for example, the how they conveniently overlook how important things like experience is and weighting that in terms of a person getting a job, and how we ruled out so many of our Caymanians for whatever reason. in that regard, in that thrust to get the ready-made employee, or thinking that the world-class civil service means that you can't bring somebody on in training, and that whole entire component in our private sector that doesn't support the whole notion of training. So they go for the ready-made employee, I call it. But I want to say it was a UK entity, or it could have been local as well. But what they did is they specifically highlighted how they were an equal employer, and they highlighted the fact that they have people who were recovering addicts or otherwise. Like, that was celebratory. It wasn't looked at negatively, and how they support that sort of program. It would be interesting to know whether, and I'm not putting any work on the lady there or their unit, but I know the ministry is responsible for them, whatever ministry they're reporting to. Perhaps they could look at, could they carve out within government, 5, 10 jobs? What is that? To be able to support people who have gone through the program, are serious about their sobriety, serious about getting back on track, and being able to support, a community of people who have recovered. What does that look like 5 years from now? Well, that person is not on the street. They're not breaking into homes. They're not breaking into the workplace. And we have, fulfilled people in our community who are now employed. And it's not a guarantee for any one of them in terms of a job, but a lot of them have skills. A lot of them have experience in many places, And I'm thinking, for example, about my friend and the things that he is able to do. And so I just I was reminded of that there are places in this world, we don't seem to be one of them, that understands that notion, that the lady there. I'm so sorry, I forgot your name again. Is it Emily?
Kimberly.
No, Kimberly. But she looks like Emily, doesn't she? Yeah.
There was some sort of Lee. I heard the Lee. Kimberly. Sorry, Miss Kimberly.
That's okay.
Who understands the notion of not discriminating, as you said it, and you said you were kind of worried about using that, but I can use it, discriminating against people who may have fallen on the wrong side of trying to keep in their right senses and don't have to be chemically dependent on something that seems to motivate them through windows and through otherwise. Thank you for your time, and thank you.
All right, you're most welcome, man. And, Ms. Kim, the whole idea that, as the callers recognize, and sometimes it's increasingly, you can choose to respond. We have another caller join us as well. And I think we're going to get more and more people cognizant.
I love this. Yeah. I think that's a beautiful idea. I'm making notes about it right now because it just sparked a lot of ideas in my brain. But yeah, I think the caller really captured the spirit of Recovery Month, which is celebrating recovery, not looking down on it, not trying to keep it in the dark or push it to the side or pretend that it's not an issue, but saying, hey, these people have come through and overcome, these huge obstacles in their lives. And, if we can treat each other in that way with non-judgment and with compassion, like there's no, it's overall better for the community. There's no lose in that situation. That's it.
In there, by the grace of God, go I. Let's take this next caller. Okay. Hey, Miss Kimberly Febres, not Emily. Well, you could be an Emily. Emily Blunt, perhaps. No, only if she was good looking. Let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey, what's happening, man?
For love of country and community creates country. I'm Quincy Brown. Thanks for taking my call, and some of my favorite guests are on this afternoon. When it comes to recovery and Caribbean Haven, this is an exciting show. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for having this.
Well, thank you for listening and for sharing, my friend.
I have been to Caribbean Haven a few times, and I have just said that on air. I find them to be very, very professional. Confidentiality is key. In other words, they would never get on the airwaves and say that I'm a former client. I, in fact, just did. There is the difference. And I have nothing but good to say about Caribbean Haven, particularly their new syllabus called the DBT, the Dialectical Behavioral Therapy syllabus, which I find to be hands-on, easy, human. It's not draconian like the previous syllabus, which was the CT. It's a good program, and I would only hope that government and the private sector will continue to fund it. Now, Recovery Month, September, as a community, we look around. We see our people in the streets. I have been there too, so I say this not to be demeaning or judgmental. I have walked the streets of Georgetown and the State Bay begging, disheveled, unkempt because of drug addiction. Or you may want to say maybe he's going through his episode of depression. Is he taking his meds? As a community, we have to come together and talk about this and then take action. It's not taboo. We are all affected by addiction. Some people handle theirs better than others. There are persons wearing neckties who are suffering from addiction secretly. After their 9 to 5, they go home and have their glass of wine and rolled marijuana spliff. I'm not here to judge. What I am saying, anyone serious about their recovery, Caribbean Haven is the way to go. I have suggested to the powers that be that they employ a registered nurse as a part of staff, because it's not a mental health facility, you know, even though they do receive clients with dual diagnosis. There are persons there who are perhaps manic depressive or schizophrenic or clinical depressed, but they're also recovering from alcoholism and drug addiction. I have passed through the program maybe 6 or 7 times. Never graduated from it because, well, when as a free member of society you decide, you know something, I need help, I'm drinking too much, I'm drugging too much, let me check myself. And there's a process, you know. They're very busy. Maybe we need to hire someone only to answer phone calls and answer emails. Very busy. But it's a process, WMU, yes. However, if you're court ordered to be there, it's completely different. The rules change. If you're coming there from prison or from a sentence from a judge, it's completely different. That was my last stint there. And I was
Well, I'm going to ask Ms. Kim to kind of clarify that or expound on it, but your perspective, if I'm not misunderstanding, was different.
It's a very good program, and if I may, are you there? Hello?
We're here. Yeah.
One last point, and then I'll hang up, because I know the highly qualified staff there are prepared to answer my questions. So let me just pose one more, and then I'll hang up, and I'm by my radio. I'll listen to your response.
Okay, thank you.
My question is, moving forward as a government, will we see more collaboration between mental health and addiction? In my opinion, the two go hand in hand. Addiction falls under mental health. If you're not taking good care of your mental health, and that goes for all of us, we start sabotaging and going to drugs,
self-destruct,
or gambling or alcohol. So, and I'll close by saying, thank you for the time. I'll close by saying the staff at Caribbean Haven work very hard for their salary. What about Ponciana? A staff being paid and the place remains closed.
Well, that's thank you, Quincy. Thank you. And please stay tuned to your radio.
Yeah, thank you for your kind words, Quincy. I appreciate that. You know, and we're not there to get any kind of accolades or recognition, but it is nice to be to hear that people value the service and are even recommending the service, because our goal is to be full. I think that's a good problem to have. You know, if people are actually accessing the service, that's
if it's available and you need it, yes.
Yeah, come. And I agree. I would say, if you have any questions about whether you need the service, call and talk to one of us, and we can walk you through the process. So there were. I'm not really sure. You know, I can't speak to Quincy's experience, but when he mentioned the difference between someone who self-refers versus a court-mandated person, I think, you know, and I'm not sure if this is what he was getting at. So, Quincy, apologies if I'm going off on a tangent, but I think what can be different is, like we talked about before, just some of the motivation,
right?
You know, kind of what drives a person to come in. When someone is bailed to us by the court, if they have to go to an appointment or something, we have to be with them, you know, so there is some of that that maybe makes the experience feel a bit different. If they were to decide to leave, then we would have to let the courts know, like, you know, and that kind of thing.
And that's why we asked that question very early on. And you did share, you know, it's voluntary, you know, you can self-refer, you can come to these. There's a choice between, you know, the partner or the home saying, hey, this or out or whatever, or the court saying this or that. But in that case, just to make sure, if a person is court referred, and let's just put it that way, make sure I use the right term, and there is an appointment at a hospital, for instance, I'll see their GP at the HSA, you'll take them, but it's a ride. You know you're getting there and you're getting back. Now, you may have to accompany them just for other purposes. If the person is self-referred and they have an appointment, you know, they've been up front, it's verified, you still go with them, right?
We do, just for support usually, you know, just in early days of recovery, people do need a lot of support.
Right.
So we want to be there for them.
So it's no different in terms of...
Not really, no. I mean, the only difference is if someone's court referred and they're bailed to us and they leave, we have to let the courts know.
But both instances, some member of your team and staff will accompany the person for every reason. But for me, I mean, you got a chauffeur. You got a direct ride. You know how to fight parking.
Right.
I mean...
Right, exactly.
Look at it this way, guys.
Yeah,
right.
And we're there to advocate too. And the other thing that Quincy mentioned that I'll touch on too is just, the relationship between addiction and mental health.
Yeah.
So many of our clients have a substance use disorder and they have a co-occurring mental health issue, depression, anxiety, or something else. Many of them also have complex histories of trauma. And we do co-treat everything. So we're not just focusing on the substance use, although that's what the program is, but it will involve, like, whatever the person comes with, we will show up and co-treat whatever they show up with.
Right. Well, I'm hoping that we have, as we had in the past, other discussions, but we had the final break of our segment. When we come back, see how quickly the time goes. It's been very helpful. Thank you for sharing with us. We're going to hear more from Ms. Kim as we return, so please rejoin us after the break.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walker's Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walker's Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Radio Cayman, your #1 community station, would like to remind you that we are in the hurricane season, and in order to survive a hurricane, you need to be prepared. If officials' sources say a hurricane is imminent, please board up or shutter up windows in your home or place of business. Remember to use good lumber, as makeshift boarding may actually cause more damage. Also put strong bracing on outside doors so that they are not blown off or blown in.
This hurricane advice was brought to you by Radio Cayman, your caring community radio station.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks to Ms. Kimberly Febbers for joining us. She's the clinical supervisor at Caribbean Haven. The idea that we talk of recovery, and as you share with us, maybe we'll have another conversation. Thanks to Quincy for his consistency, his insistence almost at times of saying, hey, don't toss people away.
Right.
And to the gentleman that called prior, maybe we'll see that empathy and compassion. But I want to ask, we're talking substance abuse. And when I say drugs, I include alcohol.
Yes.
All right. Some people don't, and they think I'm being facetious. But when they say, "Oh, drugs and alcohol," no, alcohol is a drug.
Mm-hmm.
So, from that perspective, thanks for clarifying. But just confirm it publicly, validate. What sort of substances would a person who's coming to Caribbean Haven be treated for or admitted for? Or?
So the primary substances that people come that they've been having difficulty with are alcohol, cocaine in the crack form as well, marijuana, and we're starting to see a lot more opiate misuse as well. So prescription opiates, opiates that people are getting on the street. So yeah, it's starting to be a big concern as well. I'll
be mindful how I ask because I do not want a response from you that you're not willing or able to. So, but that opiate, and you said, the prescription, we go into the physician, now we have this, we see it in other parts, it's a opioid epidemic. But there's stuff that they're getting on the streets as well.
Yeah.
To what extent, I wonder if the Cayman Islands community is cognizant of the prevalence of some of these things. We saw the other day, police arresting some people for fentanyl. I have my views on what should happen in that instance, but yeah, I'm not part of that. But that's fatal. I mean, that can kill people.
It can be fatal. And it's opiates are so tricky because of the way it kind of works in the brain. So it can cause permanent changes to your brain chemistry. Yeah. It's really hard to recover from. So, I would say to anyone, if you become addicted to opiates, seek help soon. Don't wait, because it will get worse.
But how do you know you're addicted to it? I mean, every day you got this pain, whether it's imagined or real.
Right.
You've got this prescription thing, and you take 1 or 10 or whatever it is. You're not trying to harm yourself. You're just trying to manage this pain.
If you're taking your medication as prescribed, you're generally not having a problem. If you're overtaking it, or if you've run out and you buy some on the street, or you've gone to a different doctor to get a new prescription, those are signs that, you're building up a tolerance for it in your body, and you need more to get the same effect.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not going to belabor, but I know that person whose physician says, 1-3 times a day, and they take it. That's as taken. But then there's a person who says, well, it's 1-3 times a day, but let me take three times a day. That may be potential an issue.
Right. Anytime you're not taking medication as prescribed, you're running the risk of developing a dependence on it. Yeah.
I know some people, well, that's an obvious question, but ask yourself. You're not talking about missing the medication. You're talking about maybe using it a little bit more generously. All right.
Yeah, very dangerous.
All right. So any drug from alcohol and as you referenced the others as well, the person can come. All right. Well, we've got like 7 minutes left. And there's no test.
Oh,
just good knowledge.
Yeah. Something that Mr. Quincy said that's just kind of still rolling around in my brain, when we talk about mental health and substance use and the stigma, right? So recognizing that both are diseases that people have no control over. There is sort of a misconception that people do have control over their substance use. Unless someone's holding a gun to your head, you can say no, I get that. But the nature of addiction is such that once you are addicted to a substance, you will continue to use it in a compulsive way, even if you know that there are negative consequences. That's one of the features of substance use disorders. So it's not as easy as just stopping or having the willpower. There's something going on in your brain that's making it hard for you to do that. So that's what we need to address. And at Caribbean Haven, we do have a treatment program that uses dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT. And the focus of it is to deal with not just the substance use, but why it started in the first place. There often is a why, right? So we're working on things like distress tolerance, like mindfulness, kind of being connected to what you're feeling and what's going on in your body, where in addiction, most people are very disconnected and detached and numb. So we work on getting people back in their bodies, being mindful, coping with stress, being able to manage emotions, having healthy relationships, and all of those things to come together to try to build a life where it's easier not to use. Right. So we're not like in our modules, if you look at our treatment modules, none of them are about like, you know, let's stop using it. It's not like we have to work on the why. And what's happening within a person that they are becoming so dysregulated that they need to go and rely on a substance to feel calm and to feel like they can function. That's not okay. Like if we're at a place in our community where it's that prevalent that people cannot function without the help of some sort of mind-altering substance, alcohol included, that's just not okay. Like we need to take a look at that.
Yeah. What is happening? I mean, like Quincy's point, his inference that there is a person at the end of the day, whatever that work day entails, goes home and gets some sort of libation. Is that something to be considered, and to what extent? And it may be normalized, it may be okay, it may be not. And how are we ensuring that our society sees healthy behavior and the potential impact on that person and the wider society? So this is where,
And what are we putting in place too, so that so many people aren't relying on that?
I want to share, and I understand it, but there was a question that was posed, and I want to read it and see if it's different elsewhere. The question was, what are some of the factors that contribute to the prevalence of substance use disorders in the Cayman Islands? What are those, and are those different from substitute Cayman Islands with other places? So are they put well?
There are so many. We could probably spend another hour just on this question, but for a lot of our clients, we have found, and we've been gathering some data on ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences. So people who've experienced neglect or dysfunction or abuse in early childhood. And there is a huge correlation between those ACEs and substance use.
Is that an unfortunate acronym? Because an ACE to me,
right?
I mean, I played an ACE and won a queen. I served an ACE. I got an ACE up my sleeve.
Right. Yeah, it is a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, and I kind of think that's, anyway.
Yeah.
I love words,
I know.
Boy.
It is a bit unfortunate, but that's one of the factors that contributes to it.
Yeah.
And then there are others, and they're the same ones that we talk about with the 4 dimensions of recovery. So if we're looking at health, home, purpose, and community, are any of those factors like lacking or a bit deficient in a person's life? Like, have they not had an opportunity to attend to their health, whether it's their physical or their mental health? Like, do they not have a stable home environment or even any kind of safe place to be? Are they unemployed or underemployed? Are they having financial issues? How isolated are they from their supports, whether it's family or anyone, friends, and that when those things aren't in place, it makes it easier to, maybe easier is the wrong word. It makes it more likely, I'll say it that way. It makes it more likely for people to want to try to self-soothe in a way that maybe isn't helpful, by coming home at the end of the day and like having a few drinks or having that spliff or whatever it is. And it's a way to sort of stay detached and stay disconnected rather than trying to put those things in place. So
in the Cayman context, those things are what happens elsewhere, or is it different?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's prevalent all over the world. I think we feel it more here because the community is so small, and we probably see it more.
Easily magnified then. Okay. And the question is, what are we going to do about it? I am very grateful that you were so gracious with your time, and publicly through you, and hopefully we can extend another conversation, not just the month of September's recovery month, but other things. There's a standing invitation, but we'll make it formal. Have you come back and we go through more of it. But what else do you want to share with us, Ms. Kim?
Well, I'd like to just let people know about what we have going on this month to celebrate people in recovery. So at the end of the month, I'll kind of start from there. On the 28th of September, we're having a family fun day at the Cayman Turtle Center. So we're going to have live music and prizes, and lunch will be included, admission will be included. And so we want people who are in recovery to come with their families and their loved ones and join us for that event. So you do have to pre-register because we have limited spots available for the lunch and everything. So if you can give us a call, 949-8789, then you can pre-register for that event. And then the week before that, on the 21st, we're going to be at Cost You Less, having a supply drive to support the clients of Caribbean Haven. So a lot of things that we go through a lot of quickly to help our clients. So if you happen to be shopping at Cost You Less that day and you want to donate some men's slippers or some ladies' shirts or some water bottles, or we'll have a list of things that we need, and that would really help us, and that would be a tremendous way for the community to support and just kind of come out and see us and talk to us there. And hopefully some people have seen the article that came out in the Compass on Friday, where we have a staff member who shared his story, who was once a client with us, and also a current client with us, just their stories of recovery. So as much as you can do to kind of just talk about it, have conversations with people in your life about recovery, call us at Caribbean Haven. Our number there is 947-9992. If you have any questions at all about our services or how to get in, we're there. We'll talk to you. We have a new Facebook page too. You can search for it. It's Caribbean Haven Residential Center. And like us and follow us, and we'll be sharing some content there this month and moving forward, just to help people stay motivated in their recovery.
Thanks very much. And as the callers, commended, the work is unending. Hopefully it doesn't feel thankless, but it certainly is meaningful for those of us who've been through or had family or friends or just have a conscience. We recognize that it's important. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you too. Thanks for having me.
All right, well, let's pause and take the break. Commissioner Walton will be our guest in the next segment, and we invite you to join us then.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, no Cayman, and right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Sollins. The Ministry of District Administration and Lands unveiled the Cayman Brac Adult Training Center on August 30th, newly named Joy Marie Tippett's Adult Training Center, a facility dedicated to fostering lifelong learning opportunities for adults with special educational needs and disabilities. In international news, multiple casualties have been confirmed and one person has been arrested after a shooting at a Georgia high school on Wednesday. Sheriff Judd Smith said there were multiple injuries in an evil attack at Appalachia High School. The school was placed on lockdown and cleared with pupils released to their families. Footage from a helicopter at the scene showed emergency responders treating several people, according to a local Fox News affiliate. The European Union's naval mission in the Red Sea says private companies have called off attempts to salvage a burning oil tanker because the situation is unsafe. The Greek-owned and flagged MV Sonyan, carrying about 1 million barrels of crude oil, was abandoned by its crew after it was hit by projectiles fired by Yemen's Houthi movement on August 21st. Fighters later detonated explosives on board, sparking several fires. Last Wednesday, the Houthis said they had agreed to allow the tanker to be towed away to avert an unprecedented environmental disaster. The EU mission, which was providing security to the tugs involved in the salvage operation, said alternative solutions were being explored. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Sollins.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
You can now renew your driver's license or motor vehicle license online, and you don't need an ESID number. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman Talk Today continues.
All right. Yes. Well, welcome. Welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us. And Commissioner Walton, the RCIPS, is our guest as we scheduled and reminded you at the top and then into our break. Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Not too bad, Sterling. Thanks for having us on here, or having me on here.
Yeah. Always a pleasure, sir, to be able to, be reminded in this community how we have almost seemingly unfettered access to our leadership in the policing apparatus, in the political atmosphere, even the principals of the schools. And that's something that I think we are not sufficiently cognizant of and we take for granted. The ease with which we can walk about the supermarkets and see people we know and feel safe. The ability to call or email or even write and get a formal response. That is a sign of a healthy, safe, stable society. And when the commissioner, how many commissioners of police in any other jurisdiction would have time, much less the ability for the media to do this? So thank you, sir.
Absolutely, Sterling. I do my very best, I have to say. I certainly want to engage with the community. And so when the opportunity arises, I'll do everything I can possibly do to set aside time to engage with the community, and the media houses I find as a good conduit as well to engage. Yeah.
Now, this month, 20 years ago, many of us, Hurricane Evan was bearing down, coming through the Caribbean, roaring as it did, and then impacted us. And it was a pivotal moment in our lives. Seminal for many, for others it was unprecedented. A young lad 20 years ago, sir. what's your sort of recollection?
Well, of course I was in the police service, that's why I'm sure I'm here. What I will say back then now, we had well, first of all, my rank at that time would have been a detective inspector. I was a detective inspector on the drugs task force, as it were, back then. And so I was not in the senior command level, so to speak. So, of course, there would have been orders and directives in terms of assignments. And at that point, then the drugs task force essentially would have been, I don't want to use the word disband, but certainly because of the nature of the threat, it's all hands on deck, if I could put it that way. So we were all assigned. As a detective inspector, I was now assigned back, and it was all full uniform, and I was over at the Bodden Town Police Station as an inspector, in charge of a shift over there at the time. So essentially, I was in Bodden Town and managing a shift pattern at the point.
Right.
Yes.
And certainly, true, you want to get a perspective, but as you reflect and sort of we commemorate the 20th anniversary, as you share that, here is and just use the Cayman Islands context, a community either preparing for what we're told is going to be a major storm. There's the impact, and then there's the aftermath and all the things that have to be considered then while you're planning. But the criminal element, and again, you make sure I use the right terminology, is probably seen an opportunity. Borders become porous, things become necessary, they find a way to infiltrate. How does that sort of impact the policing approach? Because the rough seas might not preclude, that courageous voyager.
Well, so the policing plan is quite comprehensive, and it's very a very straightforward, structured format to it. So, I suppose to sort of wrap it up in a nutshell. So we do have what we call a security law and enforcement portfolio. So we're there just that group, which is as I mentioned earlier, that everyone is pretty much in all hands on deck, and everyone is focused now on hurricane. But within that plan, you have a security law enforcement plan. So you have quite a number of police officers involved in that process, command and control of that, and then you have various units that would be spread across the island. So, and that is for twofold. One, issues that would happen on land, generally speaking, responding to any issues around the hurricane itself, but also any issues around criminality. And then there is the issue around, we have a shelter, so we do post police officers in the shelters across the districts. But we also have a logistics team, we have a welfare team, so there's a I suppose the best way to put it, a myriad of areas that we cover to get us through that process, and that is pre, during, and after. Of course, hurricanes are, you plan before, and then you hunker down, and then you come out after. And the plan we have as far as the security law enforcement is to really be out there, first ones on the road, as soon as it is safe enough to get back on the road.
And we're really, really grateful. I mean, on a personal level, but I think as a community, that we get to share, with you and through you, sort of the reflection of what is like 20 years on, so that the memory is there, but also that we can draw from the experience and improve each iteration going forward. It may not be a hurricane; it may be something else, right? As prayerful as our people are, we still be cognizant of how things unfold. Share as you wish. Is there anything from your perspective that transpired during either the planning, the actual duration, and the aftermath that sticks with you to this day?
Oh, absolutely. I think what I'll do is to sort of a bit of perspective of where we're at now, where we were back in 04, so to speak. So purely from a policing perspective, I would say I would say as a country, we're far more prepared now than we were 20 years ago, without a doubt. Far more prepared now. And that's because of all the national efforts that have gone into it in terms of a National Emergency Operations Center with hazard management, Cayman Islands, and the structure, the governance in terms of the control and command and control of an impending hurricane. From a policing aspect of it, we have our own independent plan, but that ties into the national plan. And we have individuals who are assigned within the National Emergency Operations Center, or the Strategic Command Group, so to speak. So you will have persons like myself now as a Commissioner of Police at that executive level will be over here at GAB working with at the executive level. And we will have what we call our goal commanders will also be over. We'll have a goal commander in a National Emergency Operations Center, and then we'll have what we call our Silver Command Center, which is set up at the police station. Not the police station, but the police headquarters, and we know it's Category 5 rated, where all the communications, and that is, and then we have a structure across the entire islands in terms of where our staff are strategically located, and the reason for it is because we learned from 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we didn't have strategic, deployment patrol strategy at the time. And what we learned from that was it's good to have everybody at your police stations. So let's use Georgetown, for instance. It's good to have everybody at Georgetown Police Station. And as soon as the hurricane is over, we come out. But you can't get to West Bay Road because the roads are impassable, so to speak, or you can't get over to Red Bay for the same reasons. So what we've learned from that, and that is to identify those locations and key strategic points so that we will deploy officers in those locations. Right. So as soon as the hurricane is over, we have those officers out on the streets and patrolling certain sectors. So it's basically sector patrols. And the reason behind it, because we found post-Ivan, we had looting and the like happening in certain areas in Georgetown in particular, and it was difficult at the time to get to some of the locations. Right. So we learned from that.
So I'm glad you referenced looting, because there are many of us here and that we go, there was not much looting in the Cayman, from the policing who've seen it was there.
So what you would have had at the time, and perhaps I use that word too loosely. So
no, I appreciate you emphasizing it.
The issue, when I say looting, so what would have happened if you can imagine the waterfront, for instance, where a lot of the windows were glass, and sea, the ocean is up. Obviously, has gone through the windows, and would have had individuals taking an opportunity to go in and go inside of the stores and remove
stealing
merchandise.
Yeah.
I can. If you you remember Atlantis used to have a clothing store on the waterfront just opposite of Burger King.
Yeah,
they had the entire store pretty much. Everything was taken out of there. I remember it really well because I was, ended up recovering majority of the stuff.
Yeah.
Following an investigation. So it was those type of incidents that we would.
And this is where I think sometimes we need to examine our society and look at, all of it, the warts included. And the reason I'm glad you referenced that, and thank you for letting me emphasize it, is that there are those sort of in preparing for today's discussion. Just having it wasn't planned. It just in passing. What are you doing for having a show? Everybody's looking forward to it. And someone shared that the society is changed. It is changing. It has changed. And in the past, when there was a hurricane, people didn't go steal a TV because they could. Just not how we were. But you see that not to be the case today. So whether it's a jewelry or a T-shirt or whatever, the mindset, anyway.
Well, I suppose it's all about opportunity. People steal for various reasons. One could be opportunity. One could be for economic reasons, or one could simply be because that's what they do to make a living. Certainly, what I would say with the hurricane, it's generally speaking, is because the opportunity of doing so, because the buildings are vulnerable, they've been damaged, and entry has been made easily accessible. So generally speaking, it's one of opportunities. So we plan to be there if that was to happen in terms of damages, that we will have officers on the ground to as best as we can prevent that from happening, protection of people's property.
Again, it's the society being involved and responsive and understanding the changes and how we are impacted by. Commissioner Walton, sir, we do have a quick break.
Okay.
When we come back, looking forward to hearing more from you.
Absolutely.
All right, our listeners, stay tuned. I think the other person should be interviewing you, sir, but we'll work on that. Join us after the break.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Refer a friend and get $50 to spend when your friend or family member opens a personal account with Cayman National. From July 9th to September 30th, 2024, C&B customers can earn $50 for each referral who opens an individual or joint personal account. Earn up to $500 with a maximum of 10 referrals. Visit CaymanNational.com for more details on this promotion and follow us on social media for updates. Terms and conditions apply.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments September 4th to the 7th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Wayne Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com. That's drporterkman@gmail.com. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Commissioner Walton for sharing with us. And I think many times when we reflect on something, our recollection is spot on, sometimes it's reinterpreted, and sometimes we love it to be redefined, as it were. But the more that we are able, as you shared, Commissioner, take something, look at it, learn from it, and implement something that makes whatever happens that much, increased probability of it being a better outcome. As you shared, for example, instead of having all your police at one location, now we have them, here, there, so that
strategically located.
Yeah, you can get. So when the police respond after you talked about certain things, but what is the main purpose then of a police response following, say, something like a hurricane?
Well, as I said earlier, it's called a security law enforcement, and basically what that is now, we need visible policing out there on the streets, because what we are into is preventing and protection of property, as well as obviously assessing to see what the damage looks like. But primarily, it's about that security and law enforcement, providing that heightened police visibility that would discourage anyone who may have been thinking about, here's an opportunity and feel we're out there. And of course, we're working with partners. So we've got our, as far as our partners in the whole hurricane plan, you'll have the Kim's Regiment, and you'll have the fire service, others in terms of that search and rescue type, and going into the lying areas and rescuing people. But primarily law enforcement, our focus is about security of the country at that point.
And then how do we as a public then help? Because I think back to Hurricane Ivan, as soon as it was safe, without being prompted, the community came together, coordinated as if they had orchestrated. Now, some from past experiences, some from listening to the elders, and taking household implements, whatever was usable, and helping to clear the roads, for instance, so they become passable. Not in an unsafe way, not in an unruly way, and allowing access to homes through the roads. Now, as we've come 20 years on, we've had a coordinated response.
Yeah.
But I asked that in sharing that, is there, in trying to help, are there ways that we can assist without necessarily inadvertently hindering?
No, I certainly would say that there's still very much the uniqueness, I think, of Cayman is because of its smallness.
Yes,
that community coming together and after a crisis and still having that community mindset to help everybody. It's all hands on deck. We need to help each other here. Yes, there is a national coordinating plan. We've got all of the big partners out there to help clear the roads in terms of National Roads Authority. But in addition to that, there are private individuals that also assist with the national plan. So persons who have, for instance, access to heavy equipment for whether it's forklifts or front end loaders or bulldozer or whatever, just to allow the road, I suppose, to be able to traverse, so to speak. And we've never discouraged persons from getting involved in that. Obviously, we will say, okay, wait until the all clear is given, and then you come out, and then you can help in what way. But we do say wait until all clear. Or when I said we, not the police, but at the executive level, the national hurricane.
As you share that, sir, I'm reflecting in a very positive way. Miss Lucille Seymour Mines made there were two spots. One was Mount Pleasant Road, one was just up the road on West Bay Road. After all clear, it's all safe. There's a handful of us clearing the roads, right?
Yeah.
And at each point, she's in the car, she's an elected parliamentarian, and she's in the car getting a tour to see what's happening. And in order to pass, She got to wait for us to clear the road.
Yeah.
And I can see her in the front seat as the passenger eyes popped up going, but you're here again? How did you get ahead of me? And then later on she said, but obviously you were ahead of us because that's how we get there. You were moving on to clear the roads. And this is where the community's ethos is one of caring, of contributing, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's important to understand that. But that changed dynamic. We got 3 times, 4 times more people now than we had during Ivan. We've got a different social demographic.
Well, that may be so in the sense of maybe in terms of the increase in population and the various different nationalities, but I don't think it takes away from that community engagement. Everyone that I've spoken to is all about, they love Cayman, they love Cayman Islands, because certainly when there's a time of crisis, everyone comes together and help each other out. And it was no different and when we, even though Beryl passed 40 miles, I think it was, south of us, you still had that community spirit. People were still coming out and helping where they could come out. And we had a full national hurricane plan in place. Was full hurricane plan at the national level,
just in case.
So, it's about the planning. So, what I would say today, though, certainly from the policing aspect of it, with the resources at our disposal. Bear in mind, we also have the helicopter. It is one of the first assets which I try to get out, or we get out in the air to do a fast assessment of the country, to see where there are places that are, and we take our pictures and we send it back to the National Hurricane Emergency Operations Center. So then you can task the National Roads Authority, all of those various agencies involved in the cleanup process will be aware of that. You've got the utilities companies and everything else. So if you've got lines down, so you've got various clusters within the National Emergency Operations Center would look at those. And so it's that's the difference, I would say, now than where we were 20 years ago, and is actually having a robust, a proper plan in place where you have key stakeholders involved in that entire process. Yes. And that's really the key. Yeah. We all come together, and to get the country back in its
Well, I appreciate, Mr. Walton, you reminding us that we're in this together, and all of us, no matter how long we've been here, where we're from, that was the one thing that sort of united approach the country who is just experienced something is now coming together to make sure that the aftermath that's commendable.
It's so important not to lose that.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a national coordinating plan. Yes, there's a National Emergency Operations Center. Yes, there's so much that comes together in the preparation, pre, during, and after. But we can't lose the community. And I think that community spirit, that coming together where your neighbors are helping each other, whatever that may be. If you see a vulnerable person, an elderly person may be stranded in their home, maybe there's flooding.
Yeah.
We encourage that. Obviously, we ask you to call it in, but we do encourage. Look, so I think that's the beauty of Cayman. That's the uniqueness for us.
The Lady of Marlins, that's what that's Cayman, and that is the beauty. I mean, that exercise I talked about, it took all of us. If I might ask, Commissioner, what is different about the policing and the response, say after a national incident like a hurricane? How's that different from ordinary policing every day? You're out and about, because you got a plan, but it's a national plan. Uniforms, are they different? Gear, names of people. How is it different?
So the only difference is that everybody is in uniform.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in a plainclothes section, whether it's CID or the crime task force, you commonly know it as a drug task force, or one of those areas that you're in plainclothes, we meet the default position. Everyone is in uniform. So there's no need. It's non-negotiable. You are in uniform.
Okay.
Because I get back to that. I know it sounds all cliche, but all hands on deck.
Yeah.
You look at threat, risk, harm. What's the biggest threat? What's the biggest risk? What is very likely to cause the most harm right now? That is a hurricane barreling down on the country, that's of national importance.
Okay.
So it's why that plan it's so important to have that plan. Now, it's not to say that we forget about everything else. As I mentioned earlier, there's a security law enforcement plan. So we have a group targeting a team that would look at the security law enforcement aspect. They are strategically located. So if you have individuals looking to you'd probably use the word casing, or certainly looking at areas maybe they want to commit burglary. We can direct a patrol into those areas, or posts do it. We do get calls when the official word that all persons should be indoors as of 10 p.m. We do get calls going to the National Emergency Center, and we have a response team we stay out as long as we can stay out on the streets, until it is no longer safe to stay out. And we stretch that. Yeah. We stretch that.
Crime doesn't take a day off, right? And we're facing a threat. Individuals see that as an opportunity to exit or enter, to move, to relocate, to whichever. So you have to be vigilant.
Absolutely.
Wow. Commend you for that. Can I then also ask, for those who don't know, we're talking about policing, but maybe we don't understand the structure. Some countries, the policing and that sort of law enforcement comes on the elected people, comes on the certain areas. In the Cayman context, the responsibility for policing is on the office of the governor, or is it on the elected parliamentarian? Is it falling directly on how does that work?
Well, I'm a commissioner of police. I take full responsibility for the command and control and superintendence of the bylaw of the Royal Cayman Police Service. So that falls immediately under me. The governor is responsible for the national security of the country. I report to the governor, direct to the governor in terms of the governor's my boss, and so, so the overall security of the country is the command and control of that is under the police. Yeah. But we cannot do it on our own in terms of management of a hurricane or impending hurricane. It is This is not a police plan. This is a national plan. Probably the best way to describe it, the police is just a one spoke in that bicycle wheel.
Wow.
Because there's so many other key stakeholders involved in this process. It's actually, I would argue, it's probably one of the best plans in the Caribbean, if not globally. I would argue we have, when you're looking at our national hurricane plan, I would argue would compete against any plan globally.
Wow.
And that has a lot to do with the people behind that plan. And, I'll call her name, Danny Coleman and others, but it's not her on her own. She has got some good people working with her, and then everybody else that provides that support, including myself and the rest of my team.
Yes, sir.
But it is a national plan, and it is the only way you can, I suppose, manage a hurricane and the true sense of managing it. The reality is, this is nature at its worst, and to be frank, the only thing you can do is put a plan in place, the best plan you can put in place, hunker down, plan for the worst, hope for the best, and then come out post-event and assess what's happened.
You are right, man. You pray and you prepare and you execute your plan after. And Commissioner, this is, as you were saying, this spoke, I'm thinking of the hub and the rest of it, but this is where that idea of, through HMCI and the CERT teams that they have,
huge.
That CERT program for all of us who are in communities, if there's a CERT team, I think we should be a part of it, be aware of it, be willing to, partner with them, because it helps complement, as you shared, what we're going to do in the aftermath.
I cannot reemphasize it enough. The key is the structure within the National Emergency Operations Center.
Yes, sir.
And the four big clusters in there that, of course, we look at. One in terms of security law enforcement, search and rescue and the like, but the big issues there in terms of the whole, utilities, road. It's just so much more to it than just policing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it plays a role, and the more we understand, it's kind of like the conversation earlier, with Miss Kimberly over at Caribbean Haven. We understand what's happening, we understand the impact of it. The more that we can not just be empathetic, the more that we can be meaningful and helpful, and recognizing that all hands on deck.
So even with, if I just perhaps just confine it to the police. Even within our plan, it has to be a very comprehensive in the sense that we have to consider, okay, we've got the security law enforcement, we've got shelter management, and then we've got to have a business continuity plan in terms of, okay, well, what does a business look post-hurricane? Because we have to continue to police.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure we have a business continuity plan to continue to police post-event. And then, but even within that, even within the national plan, you've got a mass casualty, because bearing in mind, first of all, the Cayman Islands has over 135 different nationalities.
Yeah.
And if you have a situation where, God forbid, we have persons who may have lost their lives and the like, you will have no doubt relatives from all over the world calling to find out about their relatives. So you need to have a plan for that as well. And the whole issues around evacuation, people leaving.
Yep.
So within that cluster or those clusters, you have an evacuation plan as well.
And this is what I think many people don't appreciate. It may be a small space in terms of numbers or physical geography, but the services, the expectations are global. I mean, it's the same that.
But I don't think I'm the appropriate person to come and speak about the National Emergency Operations Center. I can speak of it. I think the ideal person here is to have someone like Danny Coleman, because she runs the whole thing. From the policing, we're just one supporting mechanism into that plan. So I think the bigger and broader plan would probably be best. I suppose explain to you, or that would be the key person to get here. Of course, I would come in and sit with Danny in a day and talk about what we're doing. But
Commissioner, we appreciate you sharing at least your reflection, and for us as a public, how that continued partnership with the police ensures the stability that we have, not just the security, but the safety, in the sense of our society, understanding, the things our parents and their parents did. If they were sensible, we can deploy them. But there are changes, so make sure that we are safe and sound before, during, but also after.
Absolutely, and at the forefront is public safety. Ultimately, we want to we can't do anything but a hurricane other than plan for it and just hope for the best. But the key there is to make sure that we have the best plan in place that we can possibly have.
Yes, sir.
To deal with that. And I think, based on where we were 20 years ago, it's important that we reflect back on 20 years ago, because we all went through Ivan. Ivan was horrible. It was horrible, and I've been through, a number of hurricanes dating back to, I think it was 1982 or 81 with Alan when I was a young boy in Cayman Brack, and I went through that, and then of course I was a police officer in 1988 with Gilbert. And then we had several scrapes afterwards, and then we had Ivan. But Ivan was without doubt a monster.
And the impact is physical as well as was psychological.
Absolutely. But I think it's important that we reflect on where we were back then. But if I'm honest, fingers were crossed, and we certainly weren't as prepared. And I'm not just speaking of the police, but I think nationally we weren't as prepared. I think I said to you during the break, we had a manual, so to speak, or there was a plan that was, goodness gracious, I don't know, 1,000 pages that nobody looked at. So where we are now is superior. It's a polar opposite of where we were 20 years ago. And we're far more confident today than where we were back then. And that's a good thing.
That's good. It's a learning experience.
We've learned. Yeah.
Commissioner, thank you. And to the team, it's hopefully more of us will be encouraging to enter the policing, to recognize that whether we're into accounting and forensics, whether we go into law, and it's a
well, it's funny you say that, and I just say we just kick-started our local recruit class on Monday, so we've got 14 new recruits, local Caymanians, and started on Mondays. So I'm looking to get as much young people interested into the profession. What I don't think we do well, and it's something I'm looking at right now, is a positive PR around the organization. You tend to hear from us when something has gone wrong, and you're not actually seeing some of the stuff we do. So in my previous role as a deputy commissioner, for instance, I had 33 different departments under me. So the point I'm making there is that there are myriad of disciplines or roles within the organization, not only what you see on the front line in terms of the front facing of the organization will always be, and this is globally, it's not unique to here, is your front line policing service, your uniformed cars on patrol, dealing with calls of service, being there as your first responders, so to speak. That is everywhere. But there's a whole lot that goes on also behind that.
Well, I'll say it first, seriously, the invitation to you and whoever you delegate to come on will assist in helping the promotion and an encouragement and invitation for more sort of interest and at least education about policing. And then on a joking little level, when I become governor, we'll make it happen.
But no, so I'm probably giving away a bit here, but certainly we are looking, and I had a meeting this morning with my comms manager that I really want to do a bit more around positive PR, and we are. That's the ultimate goal. I'm not sure it'll happen before the end of the year, but certainly the goal is by 2025 that we will. You'll start to see more about the positive PR.
You're setting me up for jokes. I'm saying neither is the government but a referendum, but we're not saying. Commissioner, thank you. And there's a great love and respect and admiration that we have for our police, not just in the uniform, but recognizing that we live in a wonderful jurisdiction. This, as you shared, we get people to understand the role is not just the police officer in the car or somewhere that we see in uniform. There's much to it. So honestly, if we can be of value in helping that, have your comms team, you direct them, sir, and we'll facilitate.
Thank you so much, Sterling, and I am very grateful, very appreciative of you saying that, because the policing profession has really come under, I would describe it as microscopic scrutiny in the last few years, and that's the policing profession globally. And it's real unfortunate in some areas where policing is seen as not in a good light, and it is. If you got problems, who do you call? You call the police. So I think here in Cayman, from what I've seen, all indication, there are, certain areas that we do get quite rightfully a bit of criticism, and my view has always been to expect, accept, and utilize criticism, and that's the message that I hope that resonates through the entire organization. I've said the public will expect to come in for some criticism. It's just the nature of the job, and don't take it personal. That's just the way it is. But what I will say, from all I've heard and seen, and even feedback that I've gotten, the general population here support the police, and that's where you want to be.
Indeed, sir.
And
the greatest footballer of all time, Pele, got criticized, right? Why didn't he score every time? And he had the ball. So I commend your approach. Look at the criticism, take it constructively, irrespective of the intent of the messenger.
I had lunch with him at 92.
I've heard stories. I need to see pictures though. There was another fella in the picture I heard.
My younger days, I used to play football.
Yeah, apparently you were pretty good, huh?
Oh, a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I won't speak to that. But apparently you were good, man. No, seriously, this is where that community engagement is encouraging. And I'm hoping that we can do more of that. And whenever there's an opportunity for criticism, just like the scientists, putting something under the microscope to evaluate, on a cellular level, we can benefit from that if we are constructive, if we're proactive, and if we're willing to look at the warts and all and say, listen, I say it again, but this time more seriously. When I'm governor, we'll fix it.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner, sir. And to you and the team, I'm always prayerful that, as you, Jambo did it at the outset for emergency services, there are many who still pray, for the safety of all of us as we respond, but also for the people that we responded to. So thanks very much, sir.
Thank you, Sterling, and we'll do everything we have to do to keep our country safe. It's a very unique place. I still say it is one of the safest, if not the safest place in the Caribbean. Yeah. And in my current role and my previous role as deputy, I've been around the Caribbean region, and I can tell you without a doubt, based on what I've seen in some of the areas I've been, this is no doubt the safest place in the region.
I love this place, man. I probably get in trouble sometimes because my national pride and respect and love for my country may be construed by some as something else, but I don't make apology for it. This is a beautiful place, man. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to serve in any capacity, and God's willing, there's more to be done, and we got to do it together, because this is our home. Every single one of us who live and work here, this is home. Let's unite. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, to our listeners, what's tomorrow? It's Thursday. We got some stuff in store for you. We invite you to be a part of the discussion, but have a wonderful, safe, blessed, productive, and most enjoyable afternoon.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.